Top Catholic priest resigns after phone data tracked to Grindr. They can say top Catholic priest all they want, but if you ask me, she's a bottom. Let's talk about it. What's up, everybody? Rivera here, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. Okay, so this story was brought to me by a couple of followers, which of course means that nobody's gonna watch this video, including the people that suggested I do it. But we're gonna go ahead and go at it anyway. I'm gonna read you guys all the facts of the story so you guys know exactly what's going on. I'm not usually a journalist like this, but I'll give you guys my opinion at the end. So here's what's going on. Oh, and this story was from a couple days ago, just so you guys know, but I figured I would put it out on Sunday because this seemed like the most appropriate day for it. You're welcome, and peace be with you. Okay, so today we're going to be discussing Monsignor Jeffrey D Burrill. And I don't really know how anybody was surprised at any of this because D is his middle name. That should have been your first clue, but let me not get distracted. Okay, so when I originally saw this story on Twitter, because that's where I was alerted to it, I was surprised at the way the gays were celebrating in the digital streets because I felt like these shady queens. Apparently, this priest is gay. We have to protect her. We have to hear her out.
Let her speak! Let her speak! Let her speak!
So I did a little more digging, and boy, am I glad I did, because like I always say, before you can truly read, you have to truly read. So I'm going to share with you guys what it was I found out, and I'm going to read you a little bit of what the story was, and then we'll talk about it from there. So Monsignor Burrill, aka Lady B, nobody calls her that, I just made him Lady B. So Monsignor Burrill was a part of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, which herein will be referred to as the USCCB, because I'm not going to be able to remember that every time I say it. He's worked for the USCCB since 2016. He was elected General Secretary last year. Moving up, Madam Secretary. Anyway, USCCB, in case you didn't know, is a Catholic-run organization made up of members of the church's hierarchy and opposes LGBT equality. How so, you might ask? Well, it has worked against the development of an LGBTQ suicide hotline, EVIL, tried to stop same-sex couples from adopting children, ugly, repeatedly criticized Joe Biden, okay, maybe they're not so bad, repeatedly criticized Joe Biden for supporting LGBTQ rights, and supported anti-trans legislation this year. And not only was he a part of this group, not only was he the secretary, he was the highest ranking American cleric who wasn't a bishop. So one of the head honchos, you could say. So anyway, once I found all this out, I was like, get her, ladies. I saw the gazes point at that time. And when I say gazes, I mean the plural and possessive of gay. Gazes. I said the gazes. Because you cannot be firmly against, but at the same time be firmly against. And I also feel like everything that happens comes from God, whether it's good or bad. And Jesus was just like, who's locking doors in my house? So anyway, the Spirit moved the Catholic news site, The Pillar, to do a little digging of their own. And The Pillar alleges to have accessed the priest's cell phone data and claims to have found evidence of his activity in both virtual and physical gay forums. That means he was at gay bars, loosening up his collar. According to the commercially available records of app signal data obtained by The Pillar, a mobile device correlated to Burrill emitted app data signals from the location-based hookup app Grindr. That's the one I'm always on a near daily basis. That's the way you do it. Sometimes you log on to Grindr and before you know it, you've been looking at dick all afternoon and it's time to punch out. So I understand their point on not feeling that part. Anyway, he was doing this during parts of 2018, 2019, and 2020 at both his USCCB office, told you, and his USCCB-owned residence, as well as during USCCB meetings and events in other cities. This bitch was living his best gay life on the church's dime. That's what they really got mad about. So The Pillar reported, data app signals suggest he was at the same time engaged in serial and illicit sexual activity. So that means he was hooking up a lot, according to what they found out. And I read on another part of the article that they can't actually see what you're doing, but they can see where the pinging, for lack of a better term, is coming from or going to. And it just seems like, I don't know how they know he was actually engaging in the activity, but apparently they figured out he was being illicit about it. And the Wisconsin-based priest's alleged activity included attending a gay bathhouse in Las Vegas, which I want to know which one, because if it was the entourage, he was probably wasting time and money. That place is boring, and there's a chance that he didn't even have a gay sexual experience there. I've been to the entourage. If he went to Hawks, that's a different story. And there's a new one here in town that I don't know the name of. It's got some exotic sounding name, and I hear it's actually pretty nice, but I haven't been to it yet, so more on that later. But really, I probably won't do a video once I visit the other bathhouse. But Entourage, no. So here's what it says. On Monday, we became aware of impending media reports alleging possible improper behavior by Monsignor Burrill. What was shared with us did not include allegations of misconduct with minors. Very important for them to point that out. It is the Catholic Church. However, in order to avoid becoming a distraction to the operations and ongoing work of the conference, Monsignor has resigned effective immediately. So they put her ass out right away. They were like, we better get this hoe out of here before she puts a glory hole in the confessional and starts douching her mussy with holy water. No, ma'am, not allowing it. So the article goes on to say homosexuality along with sexual activity outside of heterosexual marriage is considered a sin in Catholic doctrine. However, a wave of condemnation has followed the Pillars report and its unethical and homophobic use of personal data. Bitch, it's the Catholic Church. Unethical and homophobic is business as usual for the Catholic Church. I don't know why we're acting at all surprised about this. So that's basically the story. Long story short, she got put out. And it's like they always say, if one person is constantly talking about gays and obsessed with the gays, it's probably because they're gay. If they're trying to block everybody's rights, it's probably a good chance that they're trying to throw you off the signal. We've seen it happen a million times with senators and different politicians. It's just the way that it works. And if this priest had kept his mouth shut and just been kind of quiet in the corner doing his priestly duties, then I could have seen how we as the gay community should have had his back and been like, okay, let's at least stand up for his rights like we would for anybody else's and call out that this is an injustice. But when you find out that he's actually actively working against the community, against things that in a lot of cases are good things, like, you know, there's so many kids that need to be adopted, and I know some people feel different ways, but honestly, I feel like gays being able to adopt is a good thing. There are a lot of kids that never get adopted. Maybe a gay couple would, I have a couple that I met in Monterey that adopted a kid, and their kid looks to be flourishing. They've had him for probably 4 or 5 years now, and he really seems to have come along really well, and they're super happy, and they seem to be providing a very stable home for him. So I don't see how that could be a bad thing. Then when it came to the LGBTQ hotline, suicide hotline, I'm always down for people being able to get the help that they need if they're feeling suicidal or if they're feeling worthless, whether they're gay, straight, bi, transgender, non-binary, whoever you are. I think you should be able to get those kinds of services if you need them. So I think that this priest being a part of what was trying to stop that, or a part of a group that was trying to stop that, is not only wrong for that, but also just a lot of nerve of Miss Burrill. And so to me, everything is right with the world. The only thing that could have been better about it if the Catholic Church had just been a little more honest and put out a statement that said, look, at least we ain't fucking kids this time. Progress, not perfection. And that's the way I feel about that story. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. This has been Ty Rivera, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world.